I know you've probably heard this quote before. I think I've said it before, maybe even recently, but it's so apropos to what I'm talking about today. It's from Albert Einstein. And he said, everything is energy, and that's all there's to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, he says. This is physics. You cannot help but get that reality. You know, an interesting thing about New Thought, other people talk about New Thought as a bunch of people who just are out there trying to get things. But, you know, getting things is not necessarily the goal. Getting things is the symptom, the result of being in tune. It's not just about getting, it's about identity. You know, the hippies were right. It's all about vibrations, man. We are vibrational beings. You want to bring certain things into your life, whatever that is, get into the vibration of it. Even the scientists get it. They've developed what they call a resonance theory of consciousness, where there's synchronized vibrations that we exude, and they're the heart of human consciousness and the heart of physical reality, what shows up. All things in the universe are in constant motion, vibrating like waves in an ocean, just constantly moving. And like a radio station, they're broadcasting, or we are broadcasting our words and music, our beliefs into the creative law, like a radio station, which then the creative law then decodes that vibration, that frequency that we call words and music or beliefs, and brings that into our experiences, right? It's just another way of describing how things show up in our lives. And whatever vibrational frequency we tune into, we also receive its programming. And we can decide what programming we want to see. Sometimes we'll tune into some affirming kind of rock and roll, like "Don't Stop Believing," or "We Are the Champions," songs like that. And how do we feel when we hear and probably sing along with those songs? It changes our vibrations. It changes what's going out from us, as well as what we are inviting to come into us. Sometimes we get into unrequited love type pop songs. Precious and few are the moments we two can share. And then we start feeling that way. It's like that mixtape or those ballads you play when you're sad. That vibration continues with that because we are bringing it in. And so what comes out is that vibration of unrequited love, popular music. Sometimes it's country or blues, and a sad, sad story is what we are exuding. Other times it's, you know, other kinds of music, classical music, jazz music, soul, or hip hop. And some hip hop, much hip hop actually, is very positive. Like Common has a bit where he says, "Never looking back or too far in front of me. The present is a gift. And I just want to be. I just want to be present right now, in the gift of right now, and exude and vibrate that right now, that speed of the divine." Like a radio station, we can adjust the signal or the frequency, thus our perception, what we are aware of, what we focus on, what our beliefs are, and broadcast that desired signal or frequency, that desired belief, out into the law of cause and effect, out into the universe, and thus sync our lives with that idea that we desire and that we want to experience right now. To the degree that we tune our radio dials into the same vibrational frequency as the divine is equal to the degree that we demonstrate the universes or gods or the divine loving vibration in our lives, and thus the world. It's a vibration. There's a vibration going on in the world. Love will conquer all, but there's a lot of negative vibration out there. Don't you feel it? You don't even have to listen to the news or watch whatever, or even be in the middle of it, depending on where you live, but you can feel it. This is all less about the law of cause and effect or attraction or compensation or mental equivalent, whatever you want to call it. And it's more about the law of you and me, the law of each of us. It's about our perception, our awareness of our lives, the signals we're putting out. Like Nikola Tesla said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. That doesn't mean you have to try to buzz around at 39.7 megahertz or 963 hertz to sync with the universe. You can listen to music that has been recorded in those frequencies, and that may assist you, but you don't have to do that, because as you vibrate at the speed of the divine, as you reveal the divinity in you and allow that and perceive that and be that, then those megahertz could most likely, if you had a meter for such a thing, show up. Or 183.58 hertz to attract money, or 732 or 528 hertz, I think, are the ones for healing. These frequency tunes are based on your heart, your mind, what you're exuding. So what frequency are you vibrating? Are you vibrating at what you have or don't have? What you've done or haven't done, meaning your possessions or your achievements or your lack thereof? Are you vibrating at that? Are you vibrating at this kind of narcissistic self-pity frequency? Or are you vibrating in the who you are frequency, the individualization of the divine, of the universe, here to enjoy life, to be of service, to be vital and vibrant and kind and respectful and loving? That's who you are. That is the perfect perfection, the wholeness, and the completeness that you were brought to right here and now on this planet at this time, in this dimension, in this life. So if you are in the possessive, this is what I possess or don't possess idea, that turn the dial. Are you running the frequency of outside opinions are most important, or outside judgments of you are most important? Are you in the frequency of your reputation? Well, that tends to become a vibration of needing validation. The validation is who you are. The validation is knowing that what you think of me is none of my business. So if you are in that needy validation type frequency, turn the dial. Are you sending out a frequency of separation? I am separate from everyone else. I am separate from the universe and my body, my mind, my spirit, a vibration of aloneness, of lack, of fear? Or do you want to be in that frequency of faith and oneness with Source, oneness with Spirit, with God, with the divine? Turn the dial. Henry David Thoreau said the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. It is a characteristic of wisdom not to do desperate things. Very famous quote. It is the characteristic of wisdom not to do desperate things. Are you tuned into desperation and resignation, or are you tuned into wisdom? Listening to your head voice that usually edges God out, that usually gets into the idea of what do I have or don't have, who do other people think I am or not, and all those other things that I mentioned. That's usually what's going on in your head. It's full of survival instincts and the past, your history. Or are you tuned into that heart mind, that heart brain, and the gut? Knowing that love surrounds me, that the universe has my back, and open myself up right here and now. That is what I'm doing. I am opening myself up right here and now to be in the frequency of the divine that is, the love of the universe coming in, knowing it has my back, knowing that it is the foundation upon which I stand. Are you stuck in worry, fears, the future? I get it. I know it. I've been there. Or are you thriving with allowing intuition? I'm pointing to my gut now. You might not be able to see that. Intuition, curiosity, awareness, entertaining God only. The possibility, the infinite possibilities that are out there and available to each and every one of us, and being in present time. Is that where your frequency is pointing towards? There's an ancient legend that says, it talks about that God was creating the earth, or the universe was creating the earth, however you want to put it, matters not. After the Big Bang and things were starting to form, the earth was beginning to form. Anyway, it was approached by 4 angels. And the first one, a scientist, asked, how are you doing that? And the second, a philosopher, asked, why are you doing that? And the third, an altruist, asked, can I be of help? And the fourth, a realtor, I believe its name was Angel Keller Williams, asked, what is it worth? And then a 5th angel showed up. And it was watching this whole creation in a wondrous way. It was, wow, what a wonder. What a sheer delight to be able to witness this, it thought. And soon the angel began applauding the creation of this blue dot, as it was called in the cosmos. This blue dot. This angel was the mystic. Each of us can step into being the mystic, being in the vibration of the mystic. Here's another great story. A Buddhist monk approaches a burger food truck and hands the vendor a $20 bill and says, hey, make me one with everything. How many Buddhist monks do you know that says, hey, make me one with everything? And the vendor puts the money in his cash box and he closes the lid and turns to make the order. And a bit aghast by that, the monk says, hey, excuse me, where's my change? And the vendor turns back and looks at the monk and says, change, my friend, comes from within. So here's some strategies of change. One is beginner's mind, speaking of Buddhism. Beginner's mind, go back to kindergarten. Who are you? Your uniqueness. Get into that, remember that, reveal that once again in your life. Remind yourself of that. As Michael Beckwith said, practice broadcasting the high vibrations of your inner radiance. Your inner radiance is your factory settings. Number 2, awareness. Experience life. Don't just do life. Don't just get up and I got to do this. I got experience the whole. Be a part of it. Life is a full body participatory act. And be aware of your self-talk. What are you saying to yourself in your head? And your intentional talk. What are you saying to other people? And your prayer, which is both inside yourself and outside of yourself. Many of us speak these prayers out loud. All of your voices, be aware of those. Awareness brings you closer to vibrating at the speed of the divine, because then you are intentionally living life. Watch what you're putting your attention and focus on. Here's another story. I'm full of stories today. A philosophy professor, entered the lecture hall and asked his students to prepare for a surprise test. He handed out the exam face down, returned to his podium, and then asked the students to turn over the papers. There were no questions on the paper, just a black dot in the center of this piece of paper. And the professor said, I want you to write about what you see there. And so the students went to work. At the end of the test, the professor read each one of the essays aloud. And all of them, every single one of them, defined the black dot, explaining its position in the center of the sheet, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Some with more scientific or mathematical ideas, some with philosophical ideas added to it, but all about the black dot. After all had been read, the professor explained this test was not for a grade. It was about focus, attention, and perception. It's interesting, he said, that no one wrote about the white part of the paper. Everyone focused on the black dot. Now, my friends, think about that. The same thing happens in our lives. The macro gets lost as we start dipping into the micro. Whenever we insist on focusing only on the black dot, the professor said, or the health issues, you might say, or the lack of money, or the complicated relationship with family, or the disappointment with a friend, these dark spots, though they may be very small when compared to everything we have in our lives, everything that's available to us in the universe, these dark black spot ideas are the ones that we allow to pollute our minds. Today's lessons, students, is to take your eyes away from the black dots in your lives. Enjoy each one of your blessings, each moment that life gives you. Be happy and live life filled with love and all its relatives, joy, compassion, kindness, etc. Or as the woodsy owl says, remember the woodsy owl in the commercials for the National Forest Service? Give a hoot, don't pollute. Don't pollute your mind with those black dot ideas. Number 3, immersion. I want to read a quote from Ernest Holmes. He wrote in the Science of Mind magazine in 1952. And he said, it is our simple and sincere conviction that if millions of people were affirmatively praying every day for our nation and for leaders, spiritual powers would be loosed across the country, which would impel it into right action. America is the great dream of the ages. Let us keep this dream fresh and fair in our minds, and through our united faith, create a spirit of unity and solidarity against which the waves of disruption beat in vain. Let me repeat that last sentence. And through our united faith, create a spirit of unity and solidarity against which the waves of disruption beat in vain. And by the way, vote. Stay in tune with the running of this nation. So let me close with this. Turn the dial. from those stations of WLAK or KLMT, WLAC and K limit. Turn away from those stations and go to KGOD or K Vital, KVTL, or WNFP, W Infinite Possibilities. Tune in, turn on, and broadcast your magnificence. Radiate love, and you will receive love. Then you'll be vibrating at the speed of the divine. Thank you so much. Namaste, everyone.